me just make sure. I always got to make sure. I was gonna make sure the comments are good to go, and you guys can see me. And yes, I have it dim on purpose, but you guys that have been on my lives before already know that. You have it dim on purpose because we like that ambiance, yeah, and other reasons. Okay, make sure, yeah, it's all good. All right, and waiting for a person or two to hop on, but I won't wait long because I'm going to bed, y'all. Got to go to bed. Have some things to do later and this week. Okay, somebody's on. Well, welcome. This is the Israelite in America, and oh, it's so interesting the stuff happening in the world. So interesting, and this particular subject, this particular thing that happened, has given me some amusement. Yes, I admit it. Yeah, I'll leave whether or not it should give me amusement or not, up to you, the viewers. But I'm still gonna be amused. And what I am referring to, Achi Manolo, Shalom, Achi. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Shalom. Glad to have you on the live. Um, what we're talking about is Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro. And for some of my audience, they might think, "Oh, that's not relevant," and that's fine. These things are, at least, especially where this particular thing is concerned, it is relevant. It's relevant to us and our culture at large, and I'll be able to explain why. Now, for those of you who do not know, I'm sure most of my audience knows who Candace Owens is and knows who Ben Shapiro is, even if you don't follow them or whatever. But recently, I adjust my camera here real quick. Sorry about that. Recently, a feud or displeasure has come between Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro. Now, Candace Owens, real quick, is a black woman who's basically a political pundit, right? She's one of the online talking heads that's supposedly independent. Not really independent, but she likes to say she's independent, and she's gone. Something important to note, however, is that Candace Owens has not built anything herself. She doesn't have a platform that's herself, that's independent, right? And that's going to be relevant to this discussion. But Candace Owens has gone I think the first person she was with was Charlie Kirk. If I'm sure you guys, if you don't know who Charlie Kirk is, just look him up. Look up his Twitter. He's not a very good person, not a nice person. One of the right wing pundits. But she was working under Charlie Kirk. She had a contract with Charlie Kirk. Okay, then she left and went to work for a ish person. You know what I mean? Went to work for an ish person at PragerU. And then went to work for her latest person she's working for is Ben Shapiro over at the Daily Wire, another ish person. Okay, now that's relevant. All that's relevant. Ben Shapiro, for those of you who don't know, is an ish person. He owns part of the Daily Wire, which is this big, supposedly independent. It's not really independent, but supposedly independent news media online thing that is supposed to be fair and balanced and report things from a more conservative and balanced side. Bunch of baloney. Okay, now we've laid the groundwork for all that. Candace Owens, it is important to note, I mentioned she was a black person, right? It is important to note with Candace Owens that the things that Candace Owens says, specifically in regards to the black community, our community, she speaks, she says with words that, oh, she's an ally, and oh, she just wants black people to succeed in this country and all this stuff. And Candace Owens is one of the main voices that is bolstered by the dominant society to put us down, to make us look bad. Okay, case in point, she's big on the police shootings. Whenever a black person is shot by the police, you'll find Candace Owens there saying that he deserved it, or he was a criminal, or we shouldn't feel bad because he got shot. Yada yada yada, all this stuff. That's Candace Owens' thing. She is a mouthpiece for the dominant society. That's why she's been in the employ of either white right wingers, hard right wingers like Charlie Kirk, or also white appearing right wingers that are ish people like PragerU and Ben Shapiro. Okay, I challenge you to find a black person that was shot by police that Candace Owens talked about, who she talked about in a favorable light, or said, "Hey, this should not have happened. The cop was wrong." End of story. I challenge you to find that. She's vilified everyone from Breonna Taylor to Philando Castile, to every black person that's been shot. And she says other nonsense about faulty statistics and the community at large, and just other things like that. Okay, it's false. She spews talking points that are untrue, and she talks as though she's educated. She uses fancy words and trained responses, and it's all in an effort to tear down our community. We'll go and watch any of her debates, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, this is why people like Ben Shapiro and what was Dennis Prager at Prager University hire her, because she furthers their agenda. Because none of these people, stay with me. None of these people actually care about our issues and the issues that are faced by the black community, the Israelite community, right? None of these people actually care about us. So Ben Shapiro, with the outbreak of this whole situation, let's say over there in Israel, between the clash, all of that, Ben Shapiro's views have been very well known. Ben Shapiro is very much, those people. I'm trying to choose my words with care. Those people that are at odds with Israel. I'm trying to choose my words with care. Over there, they just need to be taken care of. They need to be stamped out. They need to be, no pity for them. No refugee camps. No, don't house them. Don't feel sorry for them. They're just bad. Maybe not every single one of them, but the vast majority of them are bad. They're not good people. Blah blah blah. That's Ben Shapiro's been his very open thing with that situation over there, right? Now, Candace Owens, who works for Ben Shapiro's company, right? She has her little segment slash show under the Daily Wire umbrella, right? Candace Owens has been recently making statements like this week, and I think maybe some of last week as well, if they weren't all at one time. But she's been making statements that have been the word not veiled. I mean, I suppose veiled could be used in this way. She's been making statements without making actual statements. Like, she's been saying things that if you know what's going on, you get her meaning. But if somebody said, "Hey, you said such and such about Israel," then she can say, "No, I didn't. I didn't say that." For instance, she tweeted something about how did she word that? It was something to the effect of, "Oh yes, genocide is genocide, no matter what government does it, and it shouldn't be happening." Yada 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 yada. This was shortly on the heels of when more information was coming out about how the ish people and what they're doing, how they're bombing and firing on certain other people. It's not just, they're just defending themselves, right? They're being rather, what would be the word? Rashly and wrongly offensive, right? So she tweeted something like that. Now everyone knew what she was saying, and you had people on the right coming out and just, Candace, what's wrong with you, Candace? This, what's wrong with you, Candace? That, you can't say this, that. And to which a lot of what she was replying, well, I didn't say what government I was talking about, which is her being able to cover herself. But everyone who saw those tweets knew. All right, and there were other similar things. I don't remember all of them offhand. And then most recently, it gets so good. Most recently, Ben Shapiro was at some event, right? Some speaking engagement like he does, where he retains all the power, because these engagements that they go to. Side note, I'm trailing off a little bit, but stay with me. These engagements that people like Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens herself go to, and they speak to people, they present, and then they like, "Oh yeah, come up and ask questions." It's a rigged game because they have the microphone. If you challenge their point of view, especially on the Israelite community, on the true Israelite community, the black community, you challenge their view or something, when you ask a question, you try to explain yourself, they'll just cut your mic out there in the audience. So it's really unfair. But anyway, Ben Shapiro was at one of these events, and somebody asked him, "Oh, what do you feel about Candace Owens' recent statements about what she's about Israel and blah 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 blah?" And Ben Shapiro's like, "Okay," because you know how Ben Shapiro talks. Ben Shapiro's like, "Okay, gang, I think they're disreputable, they're reprehensible, and they're very bad. She's just going off crazy right now, and okay, gang, I don't know, I strongly disagree with him. Yeah, she's going crazy right now. Okay. And then Candace Owens, if it was today or yesterday, I don't quite remember which, she goes on Twitter, and this is relevant, guys. This isn't just random. This is all relevant. She goes on Twitter and talks about, she puts a tweet out that's like, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for they shall receive the kingdom," or however she didn't quote the whole thing, but blessed are the peacemakers. That was it. And also, the love, something about the love of mammon. God, you can't serve two masters. You either love God or love money, and that was the previous day. And on one of these, the most recent one she did, the blessed are the peacemakers, right? Ben Shapiro comes on, replies under her tweet. Well, Candace, if you feel like you have to serve either God or money, then you should. If you feel like the Daily Wire, right, his company, is forcing you to serve either God or money, then you should just quit. You should just quit, Candace. And all this in the public forum, right? Now, so having set the stage, right? So now you have you have the right, specifically, a lot of people on the right are siding with Candace, right? Candace Owens, and oh, Candace, we stand with you, Candace. Ben has been crazy these last few weeks. He's just been warmongering and all this stuff. We stand with you, Candace. Yeah, stick it to him, Candace. And of course, you have the people that are on Ben Shapiro's side, but a lot of people I was seeing were like, yeah, Candace, tell him, Candace, stick it to him, Candace. Okay, you get me? Now, why I find this particularly interesting, right, and why I'm even doing discussing with you guys in this live instead of some of our more usual content, is because, as part of the title of this video says, this live says, don't be a turncoat. That's right. Do not be a turncoat. For those of you that don't know, the word turncoat originates from back in the Revolutionary War, when fighters would switch with the people that were fighting the Revolutionary War. Both of them Europeans, but that's a whole different story. Excuse me. Both of them fighting the Revolutionary War. When one would switch coats and effectively switch sides, because you had the red coats, which were the British, and the other coats, some blue, some not blue, but when they would switch sides, they would betray their brethren. They would call them turncoats because they would switch the color of their coats. So that's where that comes from. And Candace Owens is a turncoat to her own community, i.e., us, people with this skin that she claims to advocate for. So now, having gone to work under somebody who does not have her best interests at heart, who does not have the community that she claims to represent best interests at heart, she who just is using her as a mouthpiece, having gone to work under him and be part of that organization, that man at the top has now turned on her, right? Has now turned on her and is now publicly having almost like a tit for tat with his supposedly valued employee, who he said so many great things about, supposedly, and how, even though when they don't see eye to eye, it's always civil, and he just couldn't see how Daily Wire could go on without Candace and all this stuff. And Candace ingratiating herself to people like Ben Shapiro, to people like Dennis Prager, to people like Charlie Kirk. And at the end of the day, especially with the Ish people, but even not with the Ish people, is with white people, for instance, when white people that are dominating these conglomerates and these institutions, you can only say so much. You can only talk about so much. There's only so much freedom of speech before they pull that leash back. And if you tug if they tug that leash and you keep going, you go forward again, like Candace is doing, then you're out. You're out. Now, I saw a video commentator say something like something to the effect of that Ben has two options. He will either fire her or do nothing. Well, not fire her. He'll either, reprimand her in some way, penalize her in some way, or do nothing. And frankly, I don't care. You see me? I don't care. This is for the all you Israelites, excuse me, who watch other who watch our videos, watch videos like mine, videos like Dante's, videos like Jacoba's and other people's. This is for because we don't have the reach. Excuse me. Pardon me. We don't have the reach and the we're not on all the public channels like somebody like Candace Owens is, right? Candace Owens is put in people's faces and on major networks and institutions, right? In front of a lot of people to spew her rhetoric that is decidedly and definitively anti-black. Anti-black. That's what Candace talks about. That's her thing, and she gets elevated for it. So now we have a situation where being a turncoat doesn't pay, right? Where her, despite her being on the Daily Wire and continuing to put down her own community, if you go look at some of the videos she's done discussing certain issues in regarding our communities, right, Black communities, that she's done under the Daily Wire name, terrible stuff, atrocious stuff, lying stuff, awful stuff, white supremacist stuff. But if you go and look at some of the stuff, she's not changed. But in spite of doing all that, it's like it's like the Green Goblin said, in spite of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you. And that is where we are. And it's sad in a way, but then also not really, because it's let me explain. It's sad in a way because being Black here in this country, being an Israelite in this country, doesn't matter how high of a position you get elevated to, you are still going to be under the dominant society. And no matter what you do or say, when they're done with you, they're done with you. When you say or do something they don't like, that's it for you, right? But on the other hand, it's not sad because this is what happens to turncoats. And mind you, Candace Owens hasn't taken a fall yet, right? She's not fallen from glory, right? She's not, even if Ben Shapiro fires her, she's not going to be out on the street. She could probably very easily, leave Daily Wire and start her Candace Owens podcast exclusive or something like that was powered by her. Now that she has the audience that Dennis Prager gave her, that Daily Wire gave her, right? That Charlie Kirk gave her. Now that she has audiences from those broader audiences, she could probably go off and start her own little YouTube channel podcaster thing, right? So she isn't even fallen from grace. But what we're seeing, again, what the point I'm trying to bring out, that we're watching play out, is that it doesn't matter how much you got to choose my words with care. It doesn't matter how much you, as a Black person in this country, attempt to appease the dominant society, attempt to align yourself, right, with the powers that control everything. You are always Black. You will still remain Black. And when they are done with you, or when you cross the boundaries that they have in place for you, it's over. They will, and you will see them begin to either begin to tear down, or they just pull the rug out from under you. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens from here. Will Candace leave Daily Wire, or will they come to some agreement, or will she disappear under mysterious circumstances? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying. But yeah, this and why I hope that you guys see and recognize now why I am even talking about this on the live, and why I feel this is relevant for our community, because there are so many turncoats out there with this skin tone, right? So many turncoats out there that get up in front of certain audiences and spew lies about this community, faulty statistics, misquote and misrepresent history, our history, and just paint us in the worst way. And they are rewarded. They are rewarded by the society that continues to hate us. By the society that continues to hate us, they are rewarded. And so when the downfall comes, or when they make that misstep, and the society that hates us, which includes hating them, comes back to bear, right? That society, it's like it slaps them upside the head or pulls the chain, like with Larry Elder. You guys remember Larry Elder? Who he was running for president a little while ago, and Larry Elder talking about um, how the system isn't rigged against blacks whatsoever, and how the system is fair and equitable, and all this stuff, and oh, there's nothing wrong with the system. And then he had qualified for a debate to be on the first debate, and they just dropped him. They said, "Oh, you can't qualify. You can't enter the debate." And he was like, "Yes, I can. I have the qualifiers. Here, let me show you." And he submitted paperwork and contested them kicking him out, and they still kicked him out. Right? And then he shut up about it real quick because it just slapped him in the face, and everyone that was aware of the situation and following, that was honest, of course, knew that, hey, Larry, the system that you just said that you've been saying is fair just turned on you and just kicked you out and booted you in a most unfair fashion. It's just like that. There have been a few others. I just can't bring them all to mind at the moment in the live. But man, don't be a turncoat, okay? Don't be a turncoat, guys. No, but if you, and I know, look, I know that none of my audience would ever stoop to such lows, right? Would ever bring down the name of our community for a quick dollar, right? But I'm betting that some of you know someone who would, or does, or is doing that, right? And just be aware, just know that the dominant society, the powers that be that control the narratives, that hate them, right? That hate the community that they're speaking against on behalf of the puppeteers, that society will rein them in and will come down on them or cast them aside as soon as they say something that they're not supposed to, or just when they're done. It will always happen. And this Candace Owens Ben Shapiro thing is just the most recent example. What are you gonna say? What are you gonna say? Anyone have any thoughts in here, real quick? All right, I was kind of went on for a bit, but it's it's amusing. It's certainly amusing. Um, and like I said, sad, but then also not sad. It's sad in that this kind of like the most recent live that I did is just our situation in this country is sad in that regard. Check out my last live I did about the Montgomery brawl and Elijah McClain. So it's sad in that regard, but amusing in that if you speak against your brethren, if you lie and speak evil of your brethren to a community, a society that hates you as well as the rest of your brethren, what do you expect is going to happen? So we'll see. We'll see if this is the beginning of Candace's fall from grace, the graces of a certain demographic of people, or what else, how this will play out. And I'm not, this channel is not dedicated to all things political, even though we do touch on politics here occasionally. But this I felt was within the range of the things we talk about, because there were turncoats way back among our brethren in the day, way back in ancient times. And God remembers the turncoats. He remembers them. So shalom to all of you guys. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Israelite in America. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe and share. Right? People need to be watching my videos. I think the shadow ban is lifting. I told you guys before that my profile is now showing up. Excuse me. I'm not sure I'm still getting the same amount of impressions that I had been getting before. We'll see in the coming days and weeks when I put out some more presentations and such. We'll see if the impressions go back to what they had been. But in the meantime, it helps if you guys like and comment on my content, and then share the ones that you feel safe sharing, because I'm sure you're not going to feel safe sharing some of them. But yeah, that all helps with the algorithm and keeping my channel from being completely shadow banned. But yeah, so do that, and thank you. This has been the Israelite in America. Don't be a turncoat. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.